Mr. President, I see my good friend, the senator from New Jersey here, and I just want to make a few comments since I have been at the center of this firestorm. I'm here again to talk about the mess that has been created by the 5-year drilling plan. One of the reasons that I've talked about it so much, beyond the fact that it is so disastrous and dangerous, especially not only for all the coastal states, but our state of Florida that has more beaches than any other state, that is surrounded by test range. Indeed, just today, the largest rocket since the Apollo program to the moon has brought back 2 of its boosters that didn't have to fall into the ocean, but some may, and you simply cannot have oil rigs out there in the Atlantic where we are testing our military rockets and where, such as today, a commercial rocket, the Falcon Heavy, has dropped its initial stages. Same thing with the military on the West Coast. The largest testing and training area for the United States military in the world is the Eastern Gulf of Mexico off of Florida. That's why it's off limits in law for another 5 years until the year 2022, and we need to expand it. Well, my colleagues have endured me so many times talking about how disastrous it would be. But now we have a different wrinkle with the Interior Department. So they first publish a proposal that would open up nearly every inch of coastline of the entire U.S. You're hearing all of these coastal senators speak against it. And they pick up on the Eastern Gulf off of Florida, since it's off limits in law, year 2022, they pick up there and start wanting to drill out there. Can you imagine what that would do to the United States Air Force that runs the Eastern Gulf test range? Well, so now look what happened. They published this, and then the very next day, 24 hours later, the Secretary of the Interior jets off to Tallahassee for a 20-minute press conference at the Tallahassee airport and announces that Florida is off the table. Now, it was an obvious, transparent, political stunt, but it created enormous uncertainty about what was truly under consideration for drilling. So what did off the table, in order to try to satisfy Florida's incumbent governor, what did that mean? Did off the table, does it apply to the Atlantic coast of Florida as well? Just to the Gulf? Is it the whole moratorium area of the Eastern Gulf? Does it include the Straits of Florida off the delicate Florida Keys? Or will it be carved in half to appease the oil industry in the Eastern Gulf of Mexico? The administration, specifically Secretary Zinke, is playing fast and loose with the process that affects millions of people in the state of Florida. And Floridians deserve to know what's going on. And that's why I sounded the alarm immediately. Within 10 minutes after Secretary Zinke's announcement, I've been through this process before ever since I was a young congressman representing the East Coast of Florida with a Secretary of the Interior, James Watt, that wanted to drill off the East Coast of Florida, where back then in the mid-'80s, we in fact were launching our military rockets just as we do today, and where the space shuttle was dropping its solid rocket boosters. So these 5-year plans are supposed to be developed over the course of 1 or 2 years with extensive input from the public, agency staff, from the industries involved, from the environmental community. 5-year plans aren't supposed to be a goodie bag of political favors, and they can't be undone by the Secretary's press conference or a tweet. That was confirmed by a career employee, Walter Cruikshank, the acting director of the Interior's Bureau of Ocean Energy Management. And he said that at a House committee hearing. It's no wonder the Attorney General from 12 coastal states wrote to the Secretary to warn him that he should terminate the draft proposal, terminate it entirely, or else they're going to pursue their appropriate legal avenues. The whole process has been fraught with confusion because it was a political stunt. And as a result, you've got a bunch of senators out here fighting to make known what is happening. And at the same time, the Interior Department is trying to open up America's entire coastline to drilling. They're also working to undo all the common sense safety standards that were put in place after the Deepwater Horizon oil spill that spilled 5 million barrels of oil into the Gulf and killed 11 workers on the rig. And those safety standards include requirements like making sure an independent third party, like a professional engineer, certifies the offshore drilling safety equipment, such as the blowout preventer that malfunctioned 5 miles below the surface of the Gulf when it did not cut off the oil at the wellhead on the floor of the ocean and allowed that 5 million barrels to be spilled. And now Secretary Zinke wants to go backwards in time and reverse all of those safety standards. The American people deserve better than this. Floridians certainly deserve better than this. And I want to thank my fellow senators for getting out here and raising such a ruckus so that we can get the American people to focus on what is happening and the political stunts that are being done by Secretary of the Interior. Mr. President, I yield the floor.